Over 100 years ago, steam locomotive boiler explosions were some of the worst causes of train wrecks in history. The main problem that causes boiler explosions is low water levels. If there is little to no water in the boiler, it causes the metal to melt, and the boiler expands 1,600 times its volume. The result is the boiler completely explodes, leaving nothing but pipes. Boiler explosions were a common occurrence in the first 90 years of steam locomotive development. Over time, though, improved engineering of steam locomotives decreased the odds of boiler explosions. Today marks the 75th anniversary of the explosion of locomotive number 2581.
The 1920s marked a time of rapidly increasing passenger service. The main passenger locomotives at the time were the P-Class 482s and the H-Class 462s. The P-Class locomotives were having a hard time keeping up with the timetables, and the H-Classes could not pull the heavy loads. To solve that problem, the GN ordered 14 S2 484 Northerns from Baldwin, with 2581 being built in February of the same year. They did not have as much tractive effort as most of the 484s, but they were very fast, regularly going over 100 miles an hour. The cause of them going at high speeds was their massive 80-inch drivers. Like her siblings, number 2581 pulled the Empire Builder passenger train, which went from Seattle to Chicago.
However, 2581's career was shorter than her fast siblings. On January 9th, 1947, number 2581 was hauling train number 1, which was the first two sections of the Empire Builder passenger train. In her cab at the time was her engineer, fireman, and a supervising roadmaster. The engineer of 2581 kept looking at the water glass, and it said the boiler was good on water. However, the water glass was giving a false reading of how much water was left in the boiler. Little did he know that the amount of water that was actually left in the boiler was dangerously low. Upon the train reaching Cary, North Dakota, disaster struck.
2581 had suffered a crown chief failure, which caused its boiler to explode, killing its engineer, fireman, and roadmaster. The entire boiler flew off the engine's frame 407 feet in the air and landed 709 feet from the crash site. The cab and other appliances were found 66 feet behind the point of the explosion. The engine, tender, and 4 coaches were derailed. The accident was investigated, and they came to the conclusion that the water glass was clogged with scale and dirt, thus causing a false reading. Another reason why the water glass was giving a false reading was that the engineer didn't do the dry cocks, which cleans out everything in the water glass to give it an accurate reading. Thankfully, there was one positive thing of this whole incident. From that point onward, there was no more boiler explosions on the Great Northern. The Empire Builder would still be powered by steam until 1949, when the whole train was dieselized. The Empire Builder is still an active train today that was taken over by Amtrak and still goes over the original route. As for 2581, she was beyond repair and put on a siding for storage. Less than a month later, the first S2 to be retired met the scrap man's cutting torch. The remaining S2s in service would be reassigned for secondary passenger trains and freight trains. In their final years of service, they lost their glacier green paint scheme for a standard black paint scheme. By 1963, all but one S2 was scrapped. The lone survivor, number 2584, was put on static display outside of the Amtrak station in Havre, Montana. It's been 75 years since the accident happened, and 2581 will certainly never be forgotten.